intro. Big protest in Dublin today. 5,000 people marched about the Irish language in Dublin today. What do they want? No idea. They were talking in Irish. And finally, thank you for that pathetic ripple. If you're going to start, follow through. All right then, my final guest considers herself part of an oppressed minority. She was out last weekend marching for her rights. So to tell us about her life as a native Irish speaker, please welcome Bláthnaid Ni Chofaigh. How are you?
I'm good.
So you were out marching last weekend?
I was out marching. I didn't march very fast now. I was slowed down by 4 kids and my mother. But yeah, I marched. And my mother's always saying, "Tan Dowla Brendan O'Connor."
What?
She said, "He's a devil, Brendan O'Connor."
Oh, yeah,
but it's a compliment.
Deal, we would have said on deal in my part of
Munster
the
Irish,
country.
yeah, but it's a compliment.
Yeah, okay.
Go
Anyway,
either
why
way,
were you out marching for the Irish language?
We had an amazing day last Saturday. Myself, the kids, my husband, my mother, we all joined up at 2 o'clock at wherever march starts, the Garden of Remembrance, and we took off. And it was funny because, you know, I expected, and wrongly of me, I expected a lot of just Gaeltacht people. But they weren't. There were a lot of people there whose kids go to Gael school, but they didn't necessarily have Irish, but they were being supportive of the language.
And what were the demands? Or
the demands were just addressing some issues. We have a language commissioner, Commissioner Tang, the Gaeilge Ombudsman, who's resigned in February in protest that the state were not listening to him or showing any respect for the language. And more importantly, that there are guidelines in place, but nobody is, you know, we're not being facilitated as Irish speakers. But it's weird because for Sean O'Curran, who, by the way, we were very proud of, but he's resigned in protest. For Sean O'Curran to have done that, if you knew him, it was a big step for him. He felt he let a lot of people down. He didn't. He was just doing what he felt was right. Now we have a new guy, so we hope it'll get better. But we were just basically saying we're here. Now some people say I thought there was 10,000 people there on Saturday. Someone else said there was 7.
I heard 5.
I 5. It wasn't 5. It wasn't 5, it was more than 5.
Because the Irish-speaking crowd would never exaggerate, or they wouldn't. It's not an exaggerated
neither
kind
would
of
anyone from Cork.
Yeah, never.
And you're very bold, because you said something last Saturday that, what did you say? They had a protest, where no one knows what it was about, because nobody understood a word.
Yeah. Look, it got a laugh a second time round.
See if I can get it better. So,
it's funny though, will I tell you something,
would you bro the last Ghaeilge? Wow.
I'll tell you something funny. He must have made jokes about 10 things last week, and none of the other 9 people moaned because they all thought he's making a joke about it. Anyway.
Brendan,
when did you I do. When did you first speak English?
I would have been, I think I didn't speak English. As far as I know, I didn't speak English till I came home from Canada, which may sound unusual, but
you grew up in Canada.
You know, no, I was born
Irish.
in Canada. I was born in Canada, as my brother was born in Canada. My eldest sister was born in Dublin, then my dad and
you were reared as Gaeilge?
We were, because I suppose for my mom, she was at home, so it was a little bit easier, rather than creches and childcare and all that. And also, she was living beside an Indian family next door, and there were a lot of nationalities in Toronto, so it wasn't that unusual. And I think, as far as I know, I didn't really speak English until I was 9 or 10. But the thing about my English was desperate, as anyone who saw me who read what I said on Twitter last
Your
weekend.
English is quite good now.
Thanks a million. But I do remember, you can laugh, I do remember somebody in here, and I won't say who in RT, saying to me, "You'll never broadcast in English." And I said, "Why?" He said, "You sound awful in English." And I said, "Oh my God."
I don't think you sound any worse than you do, Oscar. Come here.
Yes, dear.
But so you think in Irish still, do you?
I think in Irish.
So are you translating now, like?
Yeah, but I'm translating quicker than I used to. I used to be, when I was younger, I didn't translate very quick, so I'd get the words jumbled up.
But the impulse still comes in Irish.
Oh, yeah. Get upset, get angry, it comes out in Irish first.
And so when you moved home then, you lived in the Gaeltacht, but in Meath, which some people find unusual.
A lot of people don't even realise it's there. It's only an hour away. It was set up in I'll get it wrong now, and I'll be kidding. There was 1935.
They've infiltrated the audience.
Oh my God!
God, security. Right, so Chuckacooig, so set up was this a special project, like to get a Gaeltacht near Dublin for an assault on the capital, kind of?
Assault on the capital? Look at this.
Well, like we need to get at the jobs in RT.
This was way before RT. Right. Of course, there was a time, of course, you wouldn't have got a job. Right? Years ago, you wouldn't have got a job here because you had no Irish. But hey.
How do you know that I've no Irish?
Well, I don't know, you never spoke Irish to me. Will Gaeilge?
You've never asked me the right way.
Okay, Will Gaeilge?
No, hang on a minute, we'll come back to that. So you grew up in a kind of a settlement then, basically?
Yeah, and by the way, I remember somebody in Trim said to me years ago, how are you all out there in the reservation? I never took offence to that word because it was. I mean, De Valera set it up in 1935. Every family got, a few acres, a cow, a bucket, a spade, and that's it. They came up from Connemara where the land was really bad. Nice. And the whole idea was probably to reduce immigration figures, but I don't know if that hadn't much impact on the first generation. But my parents were the first generation born in the Gaeltacht.
Okay. So then you obviously grew up there and speaking Irish and everything else then, but then you go out into a world where people speak English largely. Was that difficult adjustment then,
Yeah, you also go out into the world thinking, that you're unfortunately...
Thinking that everyone gets free cows and land and everything else, and you realise...
But you go into the world thinking that you're a little bit weird or you're a little bit different, and you didn't feel that growing up. I felt like everybody else, and then you come to Dublin and it is different. You are different. And the worst part, I suppose, has been, and there are great things about sort of when people realise you speak Irish, because then they try and speak Irish to you. Like the taxi man from Nigeria coming in, and I was talking to my mum on the phone, and she was saying best of luck and all, and he was going, I love your Gaeilge, my daughter does it in school, and it's great. And that's all brilliant, but it hasn't been easy. You do have people kind of going, oh yeah, it hasn't. It's been, Tom, or George Hook said on the radio recently, he said something like, in what other country would you speak your own language and it would be eccentric, and you'd be eccentric for doing it? There's a bit of a sigh when you get on the phone and you start spelling your names with the father. It's always somebody going, oh, one of them. And it's true, it is true, and it's something that I've got used to, but the worst part has been when somebody says, oh my God, I spent 13 years at school and I don't have a word of Irish, and you're going to go, that's not my fault, and it isn't my fault.
Yeah.
No, it isn't my fault.
I know, yeah, but it's not their fault either, is it?
No, it's not their fault, but the difference is between, say, you and me. I had to speak English, and I have to speak English to function in this country. Yeah. You're speaking your first language, which is English, and I'm speaking a second language to function. And all I'm looking for as an Irish speaker is to be supported, because I'm supposed to be supported.
I know, yeah. But there are a lot of people who would say that Irish is very well supported, that the fact that, we all have to learn it in school, for example. They would point to the fact that, there is an Irish language television station. A lot of money goes into it. I'm not sure how big the audiences are. All official documents get translated into Irish. We have Irish signs everywhere and all.
Not every document gets translated. Not every document gets...
Okay, I'll discuss it with Bláthnaid. Bláthnaid is your representative tonight.
I'm just representing. No, the fact that not every document is translated, by the way. I mean, everything in the EU is translated to every language, but not every...
Roughly speaking, people feel the language is well supported.
Okay, there is, a station that does very well, TG Cahan, and there is Radio Na Gaeltacht that is part of RT, and, and only for Radio Na Gaeltacht and TG Cahan, I think the language would be in a much worse place. But the language at the moment is being threatened. It is actually being threatened, Brendan. And I realise...
Threatened by the fact that people choose not to speak it?
No, because it's not being supported by the state. Threatened that civil servants are not supporting it. When I get on the phone and I want to do my business through Irish, say the Department of Education or my tax or property tax at the moment and all that, you're lucky to get an Irish speaker. If you do get an Irish speaker, you're waiting ages to get that Irish speaker. It isn't easy. It isn't easy. Now, I'm not saying, I know I'm a minority, and that's okay, I get that. But at the same time, it has changed in the last 10 years. And all we were doing last Saturday...
It's getting worse, yeah?
Oh, God, yeah. And even all we were doing last Saturday is saying, listen, we're here.
Yeah.
We actually live here too. And it's everybody's language. It just so happens that some of us are more fluent than others. That's all.
Okay. Do I get the sense, from our friends in the audience here and stuff, are the language lobby becoming a little bit more hardcore and militant now
I think,
in response to this?
I don't think so. I think
We don't normally have people shouting out in the audience about any issue that comes up, but clearly this is people that impact.
No,
that
from them,
wasn't
but
encouraging them to do more.
the Caddo Larts. I suppose, I wouldn't say militant. Militant's a very strong word. I mean, last Saturday there was nothing militant about that walk. It was a really friendly, it was like a big street party, and the biggest cheer that it got from the crowd was when Julian Despond from Connemara Gaeilge acknowledged there were people there from the Gaeilge, and he said in English, "Thank you so much, you're part of this too." And it got the biggest cheer, and I was even surprised because I looked around and I said to my mother, "Oh my God, there's much more of them than I realised," because I'm a native speaker.
And
I'm actually the minority in the minority.
Do you see the Gaeilge thing as a positive thing?
Oh, fantastic.
There'd be a kind of a slight impression of it that, you know, people view them as prestigious and more exclusive schools, and that's why they try and get the kids into them.
I don't think so. I don't think it's any more exclusive. I don't think. I mean, I don't think they don't have sort of policies that are exclusive.
They're viewed as quite. No, I'm not suggesting that.
No.
I'm saying there's a perception that they would be viewed as quite desirable schools to get your kids into.
Oh yeah, they are desirable schools because they're good schools, and you know, you are doing all the subjects through Irish. I mean, I'm terrible. If I was Minister for Education tomorrow, I'd have every national school as a Gaelic school in the country. I know your eyes.
And you would send the kids out into the world speaking a language that, like, most people don't speak anymore, instead of
speaking our language, a language that no other country has officially. It's our first language. I realise there aren't many people fluent in it, but isn't it scarier to lose it? Isn't that scary? Would people not want to hold on to it in some way? To hold on to it, I think they would. I'm getting a lot of nods there, and it is a beautiful language, Brendan.
Can I ask you quickly? How do you manage at home now? Your husband is not an Irish speaker, and what about the kids and stuff? How are they?
I better be diplomatic because he's watching.
Yeah. Or you could speak in Irish and he wouldn't know what you were saying.
No, he understands every word.
Oh, he understands.
I realised that 2 years married, and I was on the phone giving out about him to my mother, and then I got a look, and I said, "Oh my God." I suppose if I was a little bit more militant, I would have married an Irish speaker, but sure, I didn't fall for an Irish speaker. Kieran understands every word, but it's funny because I speak Irish to the kids. I've never spoken English to them.
Right.
Ever.
And do they speak Irish back to you?
Oh, not always. Oh, they have moments. Like Sheila and Pather are not the worst. The oldest two, I'll let you have it because they're still up. But the younger two, they could be in a mood and not bother, But
and does that upset you?
Oh yeah, terribly. It upsets me, and even when I say now, "Tá mommy," they could ask a mommy, and I'll pretend I'm upset. They go, "Yeah, whatever." They're of that age. But it does upset me, and I always kind of feel. But I realise the more I give out to them, the worse it got. So I kind of don't give out. I just say, "Well, Ghaeilge, Ghaeilge."
Yeah.
But they're very shrewd.
Do you think they'll come back around to it, or?
I think they will, because most people do. I mean, Sheila now, the eldest, she's 17, and I was really impressed with her on the march. And it was very emotional because I had my mom and Sheila, and my dad passed away a few years ago, and I was saying, God, now he wouldn't have gone on the march. He would have just looked at us on the march going, "Yeah, when you're all ready." But it was very emotional.
Bláthnaid, you know what? I don't think people will have realised, A, what an emotional issue this is for people like you, and B, how much of a thing it is in your lives. It's a whole other side to you that I had no realisation of, and it's fascinating, and thank you for sharing it with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Bláthnaid Ni Chofaigh.